I'm getting a lot of questions about the tragic loss of Island Airways Britten-Norman Islander aircraft on Beaver Island in northern Michigan last Saturday, 13 November. My name is Juan Brown. It's Thursday, the 18th of November. You're watching the Blanco Lirio channel, and here's what we know so far. First, starting with the Aviation Safety Network, a Britten-Norman BN-2A Islander, this is a 1970 vintage aircraft, November 866 Juliet Alpha, was destroyed when it was involved in an accident at Beaver Island, Michigan. One passenger survived with serious injuries. There were 4 fatalities, 5 folks total on board. The aircraft had departed Charlevoix, if I'm saying that correctly, Municipal Airport, Michigan at 13:32 hours local time. Weather reported at SJX Airport, that's Beaver Island Airport. There are 2 airports on Beaver Island. This accident aircraft was heading to Welke Field, more on that in a minute, and just 4 miles south of that is Beaver Island Airport. The important point is there is no instrument approach into the Welke Island Airport. This is a VFR Part 135 operation. There is no weather reporting capability at Welke Airport, so they're using the weather at Beaver Marsh, or Beaver Airport, just 4 miles away. Beaver Island Airport, SJX. And the weather at the time showed scattered clouds at 1,800 feet at 13:35, dropping to 700 feet, that's 700 feet scattered, in the following 30 minutes, along with intermittent snowfall and gusting winds. So the weather was moving in, and this is what investigators are going to be focusing on in this accident investigation. So if we look at the actual METAR for Beaver Island Airport at 1815 Z, that's 13:15 local time, and this is automatic weather reporting station. Winds are 320 at 11, gust 15, 10 miles visibility, scattered at 13, scattered at 19, broken at 3,700 feet. So good enough for VFR operations. An hour later, the weather is 310 at 5 knots, gust 16, visibility is down to 4 statute miles, still above the 3-mile minimums for VFR operations. Light snow showers, scattered at 700 feet, scattered at 1,800 feet, broken at 4,400 feet. So the weather was moving in, and moving in pretty fast. Here's what the flight plan looks like on ForeFlight. Again, I'm not at home right now, so you gotta bear with me on my graphics. This is today's weather, not the weather during the time of the accident. So the short flight is to the island is only 27 nautical miles from Charlevoix to Welke Airstrip, and Beaver Island Airport is located right here, just 4 miles away. Welke Airstrip, which Island Airways has operated out of for many, many years without a single accident, has a grass runway 35 and 17, that's 3,500 feet long, which I believe is what the accident aircraft was aiming for, as that would be the favored direction for the winds, and has a paved airstrip 2,500 feet long running east and west. And again, Welke Island Airstrip has no published instrument approach procedures into there, and it has a field elevation of 664 feet, but right next door at Beaver Island is a RNAV instrument approach procedure to runway 27, whose minimums are 1,080 feet, which will bring you within 411 feet of the ground. Island Airways is an institution there in the local area of northern Michigan. Paul Welke has been operating this for between him and I believe his dad, for 73 years accident-free. Now, Paul Welke is still flying, but he was not the pilot involved in this accident. And here at Island Airways, he's been operating lately a fleet of what looks like a couple of Islanders. Does he have more than 2 Islanders? And a Piper Apache and a Piper Aztec. Now, the Britten-Norman Islander is an aircraft that's built specifically for this mission. This is the perfect type of mission for this aircraft, and why Paul has been using it for so many years accident-free. It's specifically designed for short takeoff and landing operations on rough fields like this grass airstrip for short hauls back and forth, and has plenty of useful load to handle the number of passengers that were on board this accident aircraft. The loading on this will not be a problem for investigators. The aircraft is powered by a couple of O540 Lycoming engines, I believe about 260 horsepower apiece. The investigators will be combing through that, making sure that there was nothing wrong with the aircraft or its engines. The Britten-Norman Islander does have a bit of an accident history, but it's not because of the design of the aircraft. It's because of the kind of operations that the aircraft is used in. These short takeoff and landing operations, often overseas at very unimproved airstrips with very minimal backup or support, and oftentimes with newer pilots. The pilot involved in this accident has been identified as Bill Julian, again, well known in the local community there. Apparently he is the weekend pilot for Paul here at Island Airways, and according to the FAA database, he's well qualified for the job here. Commercial pilot, airplane single engine land, commercial pilot multi-engine land, and instrument rated as well. Also a CFI in single engine aircraft and a CFII in instrument aircraft, and a advanced ground instructor as well. Now it's hard to tell from this database how long he's been flying. It says commercial pilot date issued 2012. Not sure if that was a reissuance or its original issuance of his commercial pilot certificate. Now looking at the preliminary ADS-B data from FlightAware, it looks like you can see that the aircraft routinely just flies back and forth between Charlevoix and Beaver Island. On Saturday, it departed the aircraft, and the N number, if I haven't already said so, is November 866 Juliet Alpha. They departed Beaver Island at 12 noon, landed at Charlevoix at 12:15, then at 12:28 turned around after picking up and dropping off passengers, I assume, from Charlevoix to head back to Beaver Island, but apparently was turned away due to the bad weather, and the aircraft returned back to Charlevoix. Here's what that preliminary flight data looks like. So they came up to the airstrip, couldn't get in, turned around and head back to Charlevoix. Then about an hour later, the aircraft again took off from Charlevoix and then had the accident. And here's what that preliminary data looks like, but unfortunately, due to the lack of reception there on the island, the ADS-B data is relatively incomplete. It doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't tell the most important part of the story, the final moments of this flight, as this data leaves off at about 1,400 feet. And some of you ADS-B experts can help us explain why, but I believe it's due to a lack of reception and possible towers out there in that neck of the woods. So the data here is inconclusive as to the final moments of the flight. But it does look like the aircraft was heading for the straight-in runway 35 to the grass airstrip. So just an absolutely tragic loss for everybody in the community, the small community of Beaver Island and northern Michigan. Everybody knows these folks very, very well. And as this appears to be a weather-related event, this perhaps is going to be another case of where somebody should have said no instead of let's go and push it into further deteriorating weather. But these guys have been operating in and out of this island for many, many years and have seen all sorts of weather. But again, this is limited to a VFR FAR Part 135 operation. Thank you so much for your support, especially over on Patreon, that make this content possible. See you here.